First is Digital Learning Initiative. Mrs. Ginger King, Mrs. Brenda Spurgeon, Mrs. Jeannie Strain, and Mr. Christopher Wright are here to present information about the progress of the Digital Learning Initiative within our district. Thank you for being here, Ginger.
Well, thank you all, and we're glad to be here again tonight, and we like being new business. Oh yeah, I probably have that clicker, don't I? Thank you. Just trying to catch it, Nancy. So tonight our main focus will be on our instructional technology program and the progress that we've made since we were last here, probably last May, till now, this last semester, and the great things that we've got going on. But I'd like to just take a couple minutes, if I can, and talk about more the network side of it, just a little bit, and to maybe talk about how we got here in the first place. So it all kind of, back in October of 2011, I know that sounds like a long time ago, but we began updating, at that time, our current technology plan. And we developed our plan for it was a DESE requirement at the time that we write a 3-year plan, which we would never want to write one more than 3 years. As we have reviewed this, Brenda and I were just looking at it just tonight, and we said, boy, some of this stuff looks really old, things that we've gotten done. So you'd never want to write one that was over 3 years. But way back in 2011, 2012, we created a plan for the next 3 years. We had school board approval, and at that time we had to submit it to DESE for their approval as well. And that requirement has changed. We no longer have to submit it, but we feel that we need to create one because this has been really going through this. This has been our guideline and our driving force of what we are doing with the technology department. Not to say that everything that we decided in 2011-12 we have accomplished. There are things that are ongoing. And not to say that things haven't changed or been added since then. Certainly, as time moves on with technology, you know, it's not very stagnant. So we're able to be flexible with that. But here's just a few highlights of the things. You know, this was a 17-page document when it was all condensed down. So these are just a few of the highlights that I wanted to point out that progress is planned. We met these goals. We wanted to talk a little bit about the data that we've gathered. You know, we talked about our hybrid model of district-provided devices on our one-to-one as well as BYOD, and that is driving us as we move further what our plans will be. We have worked with the curriculum department infusing technology into every area of our curricula and making sure that we also have the resources available to our students. Brenda will talk a little bit about our BYOD program, but very specifically there was a goal in our current tech plan that talks about making sure that we have enough devices for our special needs students. Not that that was in an area that we didn't, but we wanted to make sure that we focused on that because we understand just how great of an impact that can make on that area, on that student population. But since we have put this out, just this year alone, since July 1st, I'll tell you that we have put out 265 iPads, and we have also put out an additional 175 Windows devices, which are not computers in the classrooms anymore. Those are mobile devices. Those are netbooks or laptops. Those have gone in every building, even RTI and RTC, with their Perkins grant and enhancement grants. Devices, we know, consistency and uniformity of having those devices, our teachers feel a little more comfortable with big projects in their class. And Brenda will talk to you a little bit more about that too. With just those few months of rolling out those devices, the last bullet was very much needed in fulfilling some of those boxes on the organizational chart. And with the hiring of an assistant network administrator and two additional instructional technology people, Brenda can talk to you, and the team can talk to you just about how much difference that has made to us. That being said, 2015 is right around the corner, right? Mm-hmm. So we need to write a new plan, a revised plan for the 15 through 18 years. That is our timeline of how we'll get this ball rolling. The committees that we will need to have people serve on, And we would, as always, request board member representation. A couple of you can email me if you'd like to serve on one of those committees, or we will email you. Either way. So, but several of you have served on these committees over the years, and it really does, it is the roadmap of where we go, and what we're doing with technology. So I would like to, given that, if there's
Ginger,
no questions.
can I ask a question?
Well, sure.
Do you ever, since our kids have been immersed in this for a while now, are you going to have kids on any of those committees?
We always do.
Good.
That was part of it. That committee was a pretty large committee. It wasn't just teachers, administrators. It was board members. It's higher ed, community business leaders, students, parents. It was a large collaborative group that we always, and then that group as a whole met like maybe 60 people. We met just a few times, but really the bulk of the work happens in those individual groups where you can get more done with your, sometimes
Sure.
you can't. So, and then we come together, each group, and they present their main goals that they came up with as a group, and we compile all that data and come up with one big plan. But we do have students.
Good.
Typically, sometimes with younger students, it's hard to get them here if their parents aren't involved
Sure.
with it too, so we'll have their parents. Sometimes they are district employees' kids. Sometimes we just, Brenda looks for kids in the high school that have been active in the classes and helping and just have a real interest for technology. And a lot of times this committee, I'll say, we don't always seek teachers who are our technology teachers. We want to make sure that we have a broad range on this committee. So there was a requirement as well from DESE that we have, based on the size of our school district, made us form the size of our tech committee. The larger your school district, the larger the committee needed to be. So since we don't have to send it to DESE anymore, we'll kind of look at what's a good fit for us, and we'll go from there.
Great.
Were you volunteering? No.
No, but I've talked to some kids that would probably be interested.
Oh, that would be great. That would be great
They'd
if
like to
they are.
Tell me what they think.
Yeah. So I will pass this over to the instructional tech trio
All right.
of Brenda Spurgeon, Christopher Wright, and Jeannie Strain. And they are going to talk to you about what we have gotten accomplished this summer and as well as this semester.
Thank you. Well, here we go again. 2011, I blink, and either I'm getting older or we're just having such a good time. It's time's flying by with us. I don't know what's happening. But it has been a very, very busy year, and really, back at just 3 years ago, we started that pilot project, and what you see in our classrooms now, I am just in awe of myself, and I'm living it and experiencing it every day. So, if you ever get a chance to walk through classrooms and just really look at the difference, you're going to hear a lot of great things that are happening today, and it just continues to just impact our students. So these are some shots from this year and what classrooms now look like at Rolla Public Schools. Everywhere you look, we are using technology in a different form than what we used it in 5 years ago. 5 years ago, it looked like we took students to a computer lab, we did a computer project, we came back, and we did that periodically. Maybe they would just research something and come back. Nowadays, it's a replacement for worksheets. It's getting all students involved. It's interactive activities. It's enhancing assessments across the board. Numerous things that we are doing with that. And I laugh because I was cleaning out an old closet of mine and I found an old Palm Pilot. And I was thinking about that and I thought, a lot of those Palm Pilots got recycled very quickly because of the training that wasn't involved between how to use them. And because we are putting our teachers through a very formal kind of training is the impact that we're having. It's not happening just by chance. It really is because it's systematic and we have invested the time and resources to get our teachers prepared, and those iPads are getting used like crazy now. So I want you to look back at where we've just been in the last 3 years with our training. We started formally with our digital initiative in 2012, 2013. We had our 8 original pilot teachers that were given the mobile devices to use, plus we had a few other teachers that were just part of being interested in using technology in the classroom, and that was the iTeach 2013. We had 9 teachers. Then our new teachers, which we always have, 25-ish of those. So we had 36 teachers just in formal training that year. Okay, we hired our second instructional tech in 2013, 2014. So that allowed us to add more teachers to formalized teaching or training. We went up to 104 teachers, and you can kind of look at the breakdown there. And then this year we now have 147 plus, which is close to half of our teachers in formalized training. Plus that 147 isn't including, we have SPED teachers going to training as a SPED group. RTI, RTC regularly meets with me. They met with me in the summer. They meet with me on our PD days. Same with our other groups right there. So we have made a huge jump. And now we have fed the fire. They desire that training. They know what the impact it's going to have and the value of it. So I want to just briefly go through what our system of training looks like. Our iTeach Plus group is our group of teachers that were either a part of the pilot group 2 years ago, or they were part of the iTeach group last year. So we moved them up to a group. You'll see that they get less hours of training, but we really feel like now we don't want teachers to never get training. Learning is a complete process. We got to keep going with it. It just won't be as frequent as before, but we don't want them to lose the skills that they've done because it is changing so fast. So we have 30 of those teachers. What's great about that group, you'll see at the end, January 2nd, we are doing a district-wide little mini conference, 2 one-hour sessions, and those are the teachers that are now giving back and presenting to our own staff. So we're able to build that within us. Okay, and then our next group down, these are our teachers that will become iTeach Plus next year. They are getting heavy amounts of training so that they have some expectations, like we expect that they use My Big Campus, we expect that they use quarterly uses of iPads, that they are using Teacher Messenger in their classroom, that they're using QR codes, Google Apps, etc. So you'll see that they're up to 25 some hours of training.
What's the BTS session?
Back to school.
Oh,
Back to school training. What we find is just keeping them together as a group. It's like having your own class of students. It's crazy to think that we would have you one day and you another day and you another day, just by organizing them together and knowing, okay, this is what we taught you, this is where your skill level is, now we're ready to move on. Everybody gains from it, okay? So then this year, we wanted to bring another group on board. So we have 2 focus groups. Some of the members of the Focus 2 group were actually part of a focus group last year, and just they knew they needed to just stay together at a little bit slower pace. So you'll notice there's 26 teachers across the board. We try to, when we have full day sessions, we'll do K through 7 together, and we'll do 8 through 12 together. And then half days, we're able to break them down to about 6 or 7 teachers in a group so that they're really able to get some one-on-one help with us. It's working perfect. And then this Focus 1 group, you'll notice that they get less hours. These are teachers that this is their first year of formalized training. They will continue on to next year. I will say that the Focus 2 group and the iTeach group were all given iPads this year. Focus 1 group should move forward, and they'll be the next group of teachers to give iPads. We are finding that that is making a huge difference also. When teachers have the device and are using it regularly, they become more comfortable with it, so therefore they feel more comfortable using it with their students. And we have clear expectations that you guys can link to as to just some basic goals that we have for them after we've invested time with them, time and resources. What do we expect? So we wanted to give you just a nice clean representation of what's happening, what our training looks like this year. Keeping us busy, as always. But as it's been said before, we appreciate your support, and we have fantastic teachers and students. So real quickly, I want to show you guys kind of what this whole mentality of taking classes and transforming what a regular classroom looks like and what it looks like with technology. This is just a little short video describing what's called the SAMR model. And if we can get that playing, we'll just...
Okay, we all know that using technology in school can help students learn. But how can our teachers reflect on how effectively they're using technology?
Well, that's what this model is for, the SAMR model. It's kind of like a Bloom's taxonomy for educators.
It was created.
Try to make it full screen.
Okay, we all know that using technology in school, this is where the technology used acts as a direct substitute. Let's take the task of persuasive essay writing. I could write an essay by hand, or I could type an essay using the basic features of a word processing program.
The task is the same, and there's no functional change. The technology is being used as a substitute.
Lots of teachers start out at this level, but don't worry, because substitution is not a bad thing.
Even the best teachers visit this level from time to time.
The next level is called augmentation. This is where the task is still the same, but the tech allows for some sort of functional improvement. So instead of writing our persuasive essay on paper, we could use a program like Google Docs.
With this software, the task is still the same, but the unique features of a collaborative document provide some functional improvement.
In both these levels, the technology is used to simply enhance a lesson. This technology may make tasks more efficient, but it's not likely to make a big difference in future outcomes. Most learning takes place above the line, and it starts with modification.
Here, the technology is used to provide a significant task redesign.
So instead of simply writing an essay, a student could publish a WordPress blog using text, embedded videos, pictures, and other web links to convey their argument. The audience is no longer just the teacher either.
It's the entire world.
People from anywhere with an internet connection could review or comment on their writing, allowing for deeper analysis.
The final level and the ultimate goal of technology integration is redefinition.
Here, the technology allows for the creation of new tasks that were previously inconceivable. Instead of writing that essay, students could now create and publish a digital storytelling project to argue their writing with multimedia.
Plus, just like the blog, through publishing this movie to the world, it allows for other people to comment and analyze their message.
So the heart of the assignment is still the same, but the technology allows them to engage in a new, more involved task that's otherwise not possible.
At these levels, learning is transformed through the use of technology. When we are more engaged and involved, significant improvements in learning are more likely to take place.
Different people have different ideas about SAMR. Some think that SAMR is like a ladder that you climb. You start at substitution and work your way up to redefinition.
Others think each level is like a swimming pool that you swim in or visit from time to time throughout the school year, and that's okay.
Because no matter the interpretation, the real power of the framework is that it promotes reflective teaching in the classroom. What you do, why you do it, and how it helps learning.
By thinking about the different levels, teachers can focus on designing digital learning experiences that will help improve student outcomes.
See, the thing about SAMR is this. It's not the type of tech tool that defines the level. It's how the individual teacher uses it in their lesson.
So whether you're substituting or redefining learning,
remember the ultimate outcome for integrating technology should be simple. Maximizing student success. Want more information on SAMR? Check out these links.
And that's exactly what we're doing. We are doing the redefinition. We have teachers that are now doing things that were not conceivable 5 years ago. And we're not posting a lot of things globally, but just even being able to post it on my big campus and have other comments and a bigger audience and our parents see it and our school board and Dr. Zalis be able to see it. That is huge for us. Okay, so just a quick update on bring your own device. When we went one-to-one, we looked at going to BYOD also. And so there's a lot of interest in how that is working. Just a little reflection on where we are today. We started off last year with our faculty and staff getting access to our wireless, and then the high school students all had access last year. Halfway through the year last year, we brought on RTI, RTC, and then this year we brought on the junior high. So as of today, we had 1,259 devices, BYOD devices, that are registered on our network, okay? And our students are using that. Sophie can kind of tell you maybe how she uses it in her class. But, you know, the big things are, you know, the kids are using it to check their grades. They can quickly access research. Teachers are posting their keys to a review they may be doing for a calculus test. They're posting that on the campus, watching a screencast, flashcard practice. But as far as having uniformity across the class when you're ready to do an activity, our teachers still want district-provided devices, just to make it happen. There's a huge impact with that. So we're definitely a blended district, and I would definitely promote that across the district. I think the kids like having the wireless access, you know, because they can bring their own laptops in, and during Pride, you know, for the older kids that they can work on it, and they have their own device to do it, but it's nice. You've got all 30 kids doing an iPad, and you're, as a teacher, you are comfortable too with the equipment, because I don't care what anybody says, there's still challenges with knowing how every tool works. You have any questions on that BYOD? No. Okay. Okay, so a couple new tools that are catching on like fire around here. I'm going to have you guys just try a little two-question thing and get the feel for what it's like for the students. So whatever electronic device that you might have access to, if you have access to any kind of technology in front of you, I would like you to just go to the website kahoot.it. Kahoot.it. And if you don't have something, you can just kind of watch what it's going to go like. But if you have a smartphone on you, if you can just access Safari, Chrome, and go to kahoot.it. And so, you know, through our progression of technology, we had the old blue clickers, the e-instruction clickers, and we definitely got our time and money's worth out of those. But I always knew that when we had other devices that those clickers would be antiquated. There'd be other tools, and there are tools popping up like crazy. And Kahoot, we probably started using maybe a month and a half ago, and it has spread from kindergarten through our adult.
I used this like a week ago in my Spanish class, and then I walked into my physics class and he had it up for, not my class, but the class before. And then this morning, I saw my math teachers teaching each other how to use it. So I only saw it a week ago, and I've already seen it in like 5 different classes.
It is spreading. So did you guys get Kahoot.it up?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it works on any device, which is nice. We can do it on the laptops, we can do it on the iPads, we can do it on phones. Okay, so it's going to ask you for a PIN, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so if you'll put in the 89544, and everybody's getting logged in. Whoever wants to play with us.
8954 544.
Craig.
Who's Missouri?
Missouri.
I'm going with.
Nickname?
Okay, so what's nice about Kahoot is it is one of our tools that allows teachers to teach smarter and not harder. That we are able to use tools that are already there, or you can create your questions yourself. So I have just a couple of questions about Rolla Public Schools technology, and we'll see how it goes. We have 12 players. Okay, you're going to get a little countdown here. I don't know if we can get our sound. We're going to have sound. Okay. Okay. So watch. You have to watch up here. What Google tool is used to create assessments? Now this one may be a little tricky. See if anybody knows. We're putting on a timer. Now, the thing about Kahoot, okay, yeah, look at your screen, right? You know how you are. Okay, so right off the bat, I've got instant feedback. Okay, so I know how we did. And who's me? Me and Keith.
So speed had something to do with it.
And speed. Yeah. So what's nice about this tool is only the top 5 only show. You know, you always know how you are ranking. But there's some You know, everybody else is anonymous on there. So there's this little bit of competition, and yeah, we
Wait a
were
minute,
worried
I'm
about the
in second
competition at
place.
first, but the kids really love it. It does challenge them. Okay, here we go. Okay, what is the name of our learning management system? And you have to watch the board to see your choices, so it keeps your eyes on the board. IB Campus, Infused Learning, Google Forms, Kahoot. First person that gets it right gets the most number of points. Now, if you do this in a classroom, you'll be surprised how fast the kids all have it answered in
Are you
2
in that?
seconds. They are super fast. They get really good at looking up there and putting it in their phone. Okay, CW, you're behind 1 point. Last question. Approximately how many of these devices does RPS currently have? Faster on that one we got. Woo, Christopher!
Oh, he shouldn't play. He probably wrote the quiz.
And so we do tell the kids they have to put in their real answers, because whenever the teacher can download the results and they get an Excel spreadsheet of all the students' names, their number right, their number wrong, so if they want to record it, but every kid has to be involved in it. When we're using it, like Sophie said, just everywhere, because you can put pictures up there, you can do true, false, you can't do fill in the blank, but it sure makes reviewing for tests a whole lot more fun than just looking over a review sheet yourself or just having the teacher just talk through it with you. And a good teacher, good instruction will stop and correct what they've done wrong, and there'll be some reteaching along the way right there. So another little tool we're using is called Plickers, and I think you guys saw Plickers. Right, at one of your meetings?
Yes.
And what's so great about that one, it just requires one teacher iPad. You know, and I'm anxious to see in another year if these kind of tools have come out just in the last 6 months, where are we headed? I can't see it all, but I know there's going to be more of tools available for us to use on these devices.
Well, so the teacher would put in,
On Kahoot or Plickers?
back to the
Kahoot.
How do they get the test information on there, the quiz information
There are,
on there?
right now, I am watching the number of public Kahoots grow by about 20,000 a day. It is spreading across. It has, right now, well, this morning it was in the 800,000. So I have teachers, I say, okay, you wanted To Kill a Mockingbird character analysis? Let's just see if there's somebody already made it up there. And many times it's already there, and they can just then tweak it. So even for math, you know, for algebraic expressions, they can go in and they can find it, you know, for elementary. So they have the choice. They can use some that are already there, or they can create it from scratch themselves. And I think they love that, because, again, they're teaching smarter and not harder. You know, it's not something, oh my gosh, Brenda, you want me to do this, but I don't have time to build a whole Kahoot to use with my class. And I'm like, they're right there. So all of us are using it across the board.
Pretty cool.
Okay, another big area that we've moved forward on, and I mentioned this last May, is going Google. And we spent all summer training our teachers. I kind of made an analogy of like having my herd of cattle at home behind me, and we're all going to go through this gate, because I really felt passionate about it was time for us to go Google. And the advantages to going Google over Microsoft Office is a list of things up there. Number one, it is always real time. If I'm sharing something with Mr. Hounsome, then he can be sitting at his office, I can be sitting at my office, and we're able to work on it together. And that has provided us huge amount of time-saving things that we're doing in our curriculum building, our common assessments, just collaboration in all forms. The idea is that it's automatically saved. You don't go file and save, and now I've got to be on this laptop, or I have to have my flash drive with me. With Google, I'm able to pull up any of my documents on my iPad, on my phone, on my laptop, at home. Those documents go with me everywhere. And the thing about Google, that in the summer when we started with we are a Google educator school. We are not using private Gmail accounts. We spent months, Rob spent months preparing us, getting us ready to go Google. And so now, as part of a Google educator school, this summer I would tell teachers, you are given 30 gigabytes of space on your Google Drive. That was great because our H drive was about 1.5 gigs a space. You know, it's just, it's very expensive to give teachers 30 gigs would cost us a couple $100,000. And so about September, Google announced that for their educator schools, you get unlimited space. And the security on that, I've had a big talk with Rob and I have discussed this. Google Drive for educators is HIPAA compliant. Well, if it's HIPAA compliant, there has to be security in place. And so now our teachers have unlimited storage for their files, and they have access to it wherever they go, which is huge. And we're still able to get backups. If we need to transfer, if we need to go get a teacher's resources for some reason, we can get in there and get that. We're still controlling it, but it's just phenomenal, the leap for that we've gone. And I myself and my partners will tell you, I have not used Microsoft Office since about December last year. I just said I knew I was going Google, I wanted to try it, and now I've had no reason for it. I do my presentation. This is a Google presentation that you're seeing with Excel. We're doing Google Sheets. So a lot of our training this year has been involved with teaching teachers the correct way to use these Google Docs. So you'll just kind of see, I threw some stats up. I had Rob pull some stats from me. As of last week, we had over 90,000 documents those are individual documents that teachers have sitting on their Google Drive, Google Docs. And then public at domain with link means that I have shared a document with Dr. Zales. That goes into that category. He and I are both seeing the same document. And so right now, over 32,000 documents. And if you just see the graph on it, it's just exploding. And Rob can really tell every time that we were doing training, he can watch how many documents are getting uploaded.
Brenda, how is Google making money from this?
From their business end. And their thought is, okay, if I show these kids that are all using Google, they're going to go out then and they're going to go use Google Chrome. They're going to go have their own Gmail account, which then that's how their advertisers know that the growth of that is going on. And so they want to be in the education market some because it all...
So we don't have a fear that we're going to get 6 million things on here and then they're going to say, oh, by the way, here's what you're going to have to pay to continue having access to that.
Well, right now we don't. It is, you may want to speak to that. You know,
There is no certainty at all.
No.
Right,
but
because I mean, that's what
there
all of
is.
the cloud that's out there for everything that we're doing, that it's
This is the
free, let's
number
go,
one.
and then they're going to start charging us for
Seems
it.
like they are building towards education for that exact reason, that they're building their population that will grow and use those consumers that will use it.
So maybe that'll be the bait all along, will be free or cheap.
You know, and what I tell teachers also is, you know, when you live this technology long enough, you know that nothing's going to stay in place. You know, we went from the floppy to the flash drive, you know, and this is where we are today, but it's where we need to be. If you sit around and you talk to other school districts, that's what we're doing. We have a project going on right now where a history teacher at the high school saw in my big campus that there was a Rolla, Kansas school. So he decided, I'm going to find out who the history teacher is in Rolla, Kansas. So he found that Rolla, Kansas person. They shared out a Google presentation, and the Rolla, Kansas kids are comparing their community to what Rolla is. Kind of cool use of it.
Can be.
Okay, so just a few uses of how we're doing it across the board. We have asked any teacher, and they're using Google Docs, and Kate and Tim are going to talk about it here in just a little bit too. Another big component that's happening with our technology team is we have been greatly involved in the common assessments through Study Island this year, and we test piloted benchmarking. I'm just going to talk a little bit about it, but I can't say how smooth it is going because there are 3 of us in place. We've got Christopher taking care of the elementaries. We've got Jeannie at middle school, junior high. I'm over at the high school. And having more bodies is just going seamless. I asked Craig today, I said, Craig, did you hear anything about the common assessments that are going on this week? Haven't heard a word. I'm like, that's a good thing. Everything is just working. We have our system. It's not because it's magically happening out there. It's because we have it in place. We've trained our teachers how to do it. We've set it up correctly, and it's working. So that's a good thing. Okay, I do want to point out, if you guys ever get a chance, there is an iTeach page that we have a technology showcase, and we had always wanted our teachers to be able to learn from each other. And it is through My Big Campus. This is where our teachers post what they're doing in their class with technology, not just for you, but for other teachers to see and get inspired by. And so it's our technology showcase, and if you can just pull that up just to get an idea what it looks like. And so the teachers are able to kind of give a description, and we all encourage them when they're at training, when you're doing something good in your class with technology and you've got a new lesson, share it out there and inspire others. And I truly believe that this is working also. And so you guys also should be able to see that. And if you can't find it, if you will just let one of us know, we'll point you in the direction of doing it. There's Katie, posted something just today. It'll just put a smile on your face. I'm telling you, it is great things that are happening. And just across the curriculum. So a lot of these are I have them tape using their iPads, tape a few 30-second clips so you can actually see how the instruction's going, what the kids are doing with it. Okay, so real quickly, I'm going to have Christopher talk. Katie Curtis, there's a play going around Wyman, if you have not heard, Little Flu Bug, and Katie got it today. And so I want Christopher just to talk a little bit about what's happening now with elementaries, what an elementary classroom looks like.
Sure. Ms. Curtis was sad that she wasn't able to be here today, but we are all thankful for it. So,
She was there this morning.
What's that?
She was there this morning.
She was. She
She
started
didn't make it through the day.
this morning?
I did see
Yeah.
that.
Pretty quickly.
I
Good
didn't-
deal.
I didn't shake
Yeah,
hands.
it's all good.
So Ms. Curtis is a fourth grade teacher at Wyman. She moved from first grade last year, and so she's really had an opportunity to delve into using My Big Campus since our fourth grade students are using My Big Campus. And so you can see here a few examples of some of the student work that she's doing with her students. They're making pic collages, which is an iPad app that allows the kids to bring in pictures and then they can add annotations to that. And so she's used that to kind of transform the way that she's teaching vocabulary. And so instead of just comprehension vocabulary worksheets, she's having students going out and finding examples of what those vocabulary words are. And then they'll post those in a discussion within My Big Campus, and the other students can look at it and comment as well. She's also used screencasting. Actually, her students are doing screencasting. And so a screencast is just basically when you record what's going on in your screen and add an audio narration to it. And so recently she had her students showing off doing double-digit multiplication, which is introduced at the fourth grade level. And so her students were working these problems and going through the algorithm of doing double-digit multiplication and then narrating. And so the advantage to that, especially to the teacher, is that since the student is narrating, the teacher knows exactly what the student is thinking as they go through the process. And so if there's an error, the teacher has a better idea of how to correct the thinking for that student. So she's also been using Kahoot and Plickers. You can see a picture there of her students using Plickers to get immediate feedback and data to adjust instruction. She's also used another iPad app called a Telegami, and she's used that for vocabulary instruction as well. A Telegami is an animated character that the kids get to create, and then they can put their voice with that character. And so then they do things with vocabulary with that as well. So she's really also using her My Big Campus page to share out resources for not only her students, but for the parents as well. And so she's posted all kinds of videos that she's found on the internet, and we're going to be working toward her doing some screencasting as well.
Do we
So
have any
she's done.
idea how many parents are going on to My Big Campus? Or are they going on through their kids? I mean, in fourth grade, I would guess that's how they're doing it.
Yeah, and we've encouraged our teachers we show them how to make it public, their My Big Campus account, and then at the elementary level where the teachers are putting it on their newsletter and their district website so they can link to it that way.
Okay.
Okay, so next we have Kate Rapp. Kate is a 7th grade ELA teacher who started, Kate, you were part of the, I know, Focus last year? Yeah. Okay, so this is her 2nd year of formalized training. So Kate, if you'll come down here, tell them what you're doing.
Hi, Kate.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me. The first thing I want to say is I'm only a 3rd-year teacher, so I'm very thankful to be in a district with iPads and technology. I still keep up with my college friends who teach in St. Louis, and they're always telling me, oh, I wish I had what you had, and I wish I had the access that you have, so I feel really lucky. I utilize the iPad carts at least once a week for both my reading and English classes. I couldn't imagine my classroom without them. I've been utilizing them for 2 years. I see students every day who excel with reading and writing just because they love the technology and it engages them so much. I have seen tremendous changes in engagement because it captivates them. Every day I see students taking my reading and English assignments to another level, and my favorite thing that students say is, can I work on this at home? So I've used iMovie, PicCollage, Timeline, Poplet. All of these activities take something that would usually be a worksheet, and instead it takes the students into something of a higher level of depth of knowledge. So instead of filling in the blanks, they are creating or making something from scratch out of whatever we're learning in the classroom. Just to share one example of my favorite, and I was so happy that Dr. Zales commented on it on the showcase. I had students watch a video about reading and writing, and they went to todaysmeet.com, and there's a lot of research going on about back channeling, where if students are doing something, you can have them comment through technology about what they're watching. So instead of just watching, they're taking it to another level. And so while they're watching, they were sitting on Today's Meet, typing in what they thought, and they got to see what other students were thinking at the same time. That was one of my favorites that I've been doing lately. Another example of my favorite things that we've been doing is we have taken Google Docs and they type their research essays there. And instead of just me commenting, which I do, you know, fix this or I really like this, I've even shared it with the special ed teachers and they comment on my special education students. And my students hate me for this, but I will send out the link to their parents and the parents can comment on their essays. And so they don't always love that. I feel as though my students are at a huge advantage because of their frequent use. They share their work for larger audiences, just like the video was explaining. They collaborate effectively. I'm positive that it improves their learning. I see it every day. And I know that my test scores improve. I was worried coming in only 3 years ago, this talk of Common Core. And so this year with the Common Core instead of the map, I know for sure they're going to have the technological skills they'll need through Study Island. And most importantly on those tests, they can focus on the skills and the questions instead of just how to work the technology. They're just so familiar with everything. Any questions?
What's the 30 Hands for digital stories?
30 Hands is a presentation tool where they put their voices and images and they make a presentation and then it turns it into a video.
What devices are you using then?
I'm using iPads and then I also use the computer labs. Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Kate.
Thank you.
So next we have Tim Robinson. Tim is 8th grade social studies at our junior high, and Tim will tell you about his kind of path to technology-enriched classroom.
Hi, Tim.
Hello.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me this time to share this evening. Sitting in training beginning of last year, I was thinking I might use the iPads once a quarter. That's what I was thinking. I got into second semester. I used them 5 times last year, second semester. This year, amazingly, I used them the first day of school. I had a link on my big campus page to my classroom policies, and instead of running off 150 copies of that, we pulled those up on the iPad, and we read them right there together. And then the third day of class, because somebody else had them checked out for the second day, I had a pre-test made up in my big campus. And so for this semester, I've averaged once a week having iPads in my classroom. So much for just once a quarter. So how am I using technology? As I said already, my big campus, I have a calendar posted, which students, parents can link to the calendar. It has my objective for the day. It has the activities already listed for the day, and it has a link to the notes. Every test, I give out a study guide, and then I always send out an Infinite Campus message to the parents saying that study guide is in their hands. It's going to be due on this day and a test day. And I once again share the resources on my big campus and how they can link to those. At the bottom of my big campus page, there are Quizlets links that I've created. And so I've been using Quizlet quite a bit since second semester. A highlight of last year, I had an ESL, ELL student who'd probably been in the country for 1 year. And after one day of reviewing for a test, they asked me, Mr. Robinson, can I stay after and do the Quizlet? And I said, sure, yeah. So I had the iPads in my room. He came in, and Quizlet has a feature that you can push a button and it will speak the content that's on the flashcards. And so ESL student sat there, did the Quizlet as I was completing my task at the end of the day. So it was really cool. And then actually even got to see him. I didn't have Quizlets prepared for first semester last year, but second semester I saw an improvement in his test scores because I know he was engaged. If he wasn't in my room, he was on an iPad or a computer in the library or with a different teacher, a tutor that he had. For review, checking understanding, I've used different web-based sites, AWW Whiteboard, where students can write on their iPad and it will show on the smartboard. Padlet has the same type of feature. Students enter their information and then it shows for the class to see. I've used Poll Everywhere. I've used Infused Learning. Infused Learning allows me to also gather results at the end of our sessions. It actually has a drawing feature that students, I was preparing for the Chapter 4 test, and I had them draw triangular trade and label it, and so they became once again engaged, and they were able to showcase some of their talents, artistic ability and everything, and use my content in that area. Some students won't raise their hand to answer questions, but they will participate through the iPad. This year in review, I've used Plickers and the Kahoot. The students love Kahoot. It's amazing, but to see 27 8th graders focused on something educationally all at the same time, it's really something.
Who would have thought?
Right, right.
Yeah.
So with these in place, I have checked over different scores from last year's test scores and this year's, and I've seen marked improvement in my assessments that I give. Now this year, I've also, instead of just offering the review sessions with Infused Learning and Quizlet and things, I've also actually made the leap to allowing students to create something. I used Poplet. That would be the image on the right. As they take the history content and they then pull pictures off the web and they put into a graphic organizer. I'm really looking forward to using this when we get back into our U.S. and Missouri Constitution, as they have to take the abstract ideas of government and create something visual to have in front of them as we prepare for the U.S. and Missouri Constitution test. Just before Thanksgiving, I introduced timeline. I wish I had known more about that before, just a couple weeks ago, because I could have replaced a couple of worksheets easily with the timeline. So here, right before Thanksgiving, with all the hyperactivity of that and students coming in from PE, I just went up to the board, I modeled what they needed to do, and then you had 22 second-hour students just focused on their iPad, looking at their notes, and engaged into the process of creating. I still have a couple of apps that I've been trained to use. Hopefully I'll get to them second semester. This year's tech training, as was mentioned, I've been introduced to Google. I've been using the Google Forms to create pre-assessments, tests, quizzes, serving on the SLO committee. I see that as an invaluable resource as we have to show student growth, and they'll give us our pre-test data and our test data. I really like the increased collaboration amongst the staff. I've talked to math teachers, I talked to teachers from all departments and how they're using technology in their classroom, what technology they're using. I appreciate Mrs. Spurgeon, Ms. Strain in my class sharing what other teachers are doing as they're there to assist me in implementing the training that I received. I do want to thank you for adding Mr. Wright and Ms. Strain to that team. It's been super. And I want to thank you also for my own personal iPad. I got one, I'm in Focus 2, and I got my personal iPad, and so for Flickrs, I can just pull that out, and so thank you very much for that. Now, on a personal note, I do have a daughter that's in the 2nd grade at Mark Twain. About a month ago, she comes home and says, Mr. Wright was in our class with iPads. I'm like, okay, all right. She says, can we put GeoBoard on our iPad? I have my own personal iPad. So I said, okay. Well, then a week later, she comes home again and says, Mr. Wright was in my class again. Can we put reading eggs on our iPad? Yeah, we can do that. And then she comes home again, 2nd grader. Can I do Study Island? And so I want to thank you as a parent for investing in my daughter's future.
Cool.
Thank you. Very good.
Thank you for the time you put in. Thank you for your work. Thank you for your commitment to technology. Thank you because it is making a difference in my classroom and it's making a difference in my instruction.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Doesn't that put a smile on your face?
Mm-hmm.
It really
Makes
does.
you almost wanna go back to
watch us what we've done in our plan and watch it all come forward. So just here's a little summary, guys. What's happening now, January 2nd. Feel free, if you don't have anything to do that Friday, to walk through the buildings at the high school and at middle school. 10 to 10:50, 11 to 11:50, we'll have sessions going on with our teachers presenting and giving back. So again, we continue to move forward, and we are making an impact. We have our teachers now going out to state meetings, presenting, you know, just like our band is. They are noticing what Rolla Public Schools is doing, and we are definitely leading by example.
Great. You know, one thing that I keep hearing that I really like compared to when my kids were in school is the communication with the parents. I mean, as a parent back when my kids were in school, I didn't really know that much of what was going on or what. It's just this with this My Big Campus and the parents being kept up to date. I just think it's fantastic. I hope the parents are taking advantage of it.
Well, that was the gist of my question is, do we survey maybe next year when we do back to school, survey how many parents are using My Big Campus or communicating electronically?
It's part of the individual principal's survey of their parents about communication and utilization. We saw one this week with Mrs. Davis, or Dr. Davis, at middle school, just a fall survey of parents and staff, so we can have that. Yeah.
And just like Tim said, you know, his every day, parents can look and see what his goals are for that day and what the kids are going to be.
Yeah, we kind of standardized that this year through training. We set up a Google sheet that was their daily calendar, so it's less work on the teacher. They don't have to connect it every day to My Big Campus. It's connecting to their Google Sheet. They go on there. We set up a uniform calendar across the district so that when they're looking at Tim's calendar compared to Katie White's calendar, there is
They
some
look the
uniformity.
same.
Yeah, we think that helps across
So-
the board.
So maybe this is for next year's plan, but we hear a lot about, the kids using the technology at home. What do we have in place for kids that don't have access to technology at home, where they don't have Wi-Fi access or internet access at all, or they can't afford a device? We thought about, how do we make sure that all the kids have access to, we don't create this digital divide piece?
Do you want to? Right now, I think you will find that most of our teachers are trying to complete the activities in class.
Mhm.
Would you agree with that? Because we know that we don't have that capability.
Does Katie want to speak to that? She's shaking her head up there.
Because we are,
Come-
right,
Okay.
the library,
Okay.
the pride time, the before and after school. I think at the elementary, they just accommodate them during class.
Well, wasn't the survey unbelievably high, the percentage that have access?
High 90%, yes.
But there's still some, so.
Absolutely.
And make sure we don't leave anybody behind technologically. So, because I listen to Karen Hammond's in the evening, and it's a weird feeling.
You will find at the advanced
learning
level in those
anything?
classes, Sophie, would you? I think that kids
think I
have
got
found a
the
way,
chemistry down.
primarily,
You have to slow it down a
in
little
our
bit.
advanced classes, they know that they have to have that for college. And so you are finding more and more
I
having
just think it's a
devices.
piece we need to keep in mind, because,
Right.
we know what the community demographics are, and I just want to really make sure as we do all this, and we're really flipping the classrooms, and we're just like your daughter, she wants to use this at home. That's what we want, right? We want the kids engaged in education, not 24/7, but we want them engaged when they want to be engaged. And I want to make sure we're not leaving anybody
Right.
behind. So maybe we think about that and put something in the plan for next year to really make sure. I know the survey said we were really high, but again, it's a survey, and not everybody's responding to it.
Well,
So
and
how do we-
again,
how
that
do we
goes back
go
to
out?
the classroom devices,
Yeah.
because it is providing that uniformity and equality
Okay.
in the classroom.
Just keep in mind as we go forward.
I appreciate Kate and Tim
Yeah.
sharing how they believe this is improving student performance, because that's the piece we really haven't heard
Yeah.
yet. We've heard about how great it is and how it's changing the classroom, but ultimately we hope students are doing better because of it as well, and I appreciate you all sharing that.
I get to live and see it every day. The behavior in a classroom is almost, behavior problems, many classrooms are non-existent. You can hear a pin drop. The kids are so engaged and involved in what they're doing that it's phenomenal to watch what's happening.
I got my first hands-on experience with Google Docs just in the last few days. The really important stuff, I was able to sign up to volunteer at the concession stand for the US Bank Holiday Tournament. So that was kind of cool. See, everybody's already clicked in and filled in who's going to be there, and kind of neat.
Students take great pride in those devices too. In the 3 years that we've had those 1,100 iPads, we've had 5 broken, and 4 of those were by adults. So we had one that was accidentally dropped, and it hit just perfectly on a desk
Yeah.
leg of the desk. And so it was one student, and he was devastated. And so those students are really taking pride in those devices. They want them there, they want them available, and it's been a great.
We've trained teachers on what we expect consistently when they have those devices. Tim's one of our cart managers, so he's kind of checking them every day. He has the cart now, one cart in his classroom that he checks out.
That's how you keep
Cart
the other
manager.
teachers from checking it out.
It
obviously
helps,
failed
though.
on day
Day
two.
yeah. Took
In
them
a
day
very
3 to figure it out.
systematic way, and it's working.
Brenda, I've got a question that maybe still, they say that one of the dirtiest things we have is our screen of our phone. Are the pads routinely cleaned? I'm thinking of the flu bug going around.
It is, and that's been a hot topic
Okay.
this week by all 3 of us. And getting out to our cart managers, it's nice because we have so many carts. We have designated people. I can contact Tim and tell him how to clean them. So we're definitely on that this
Okay.
week.
Good. Great.
Kelly, we get the lights.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Brenda,
Bring me a picture you guys together.
Oh, you come down.
Why did we match?
No,
Want all of them?
Just bunch up together.
Jeannie, Christopher, Tim, and Kate.
Good job.
Tech people.
Now, is Katie here just as moral support?
And Connie is one of our.
Oh, that's right.
There you go.
Here we go.
Get 'em in
You
here.
can see me, Jeannie. There you go. 1, 2, 3. Excellent. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Kate?
Thank you.
Thank
Kate
you all.
Rapp, your Twitter handle, I can't find it.
Oh, yeah, I'm on there.
I know.
40 week.
40, that's the reason why.
It's about literature, so.
Yeah.
Sure it is.
I thought it was following 40 minutes.
Sure it is. Sure it is.
We've got some reports. We're going to be really exciting information coming up. You can stick around for that.
The Christopher did a really nice job putting together the technology matrix. Oftentimes, you're probably wondering what all the what the terminology means, what I teach means, what focus means, what year we're in, and how many people are in those things. So that matrix is also given to all the administrators as well. It's a pretty daunting question to answer when someone asks, so what are you doing with technology? Well, how long do you have? Because so you can kind of see the professional development side and what our teachers are engaged in. So thank you, Christopher, for doing that.
This is still the piece when we go visit other school districts, we talk to other school districts, that people haven't gotten. They still think it's about the device. It's about the instruction.
But people like to be able to touch something, and that's why it's the easy sale is that they need a
Well, and
device.
it makes good PR, right?
Right.
We gave everybody an iPad in the school
Right,
district.
exactly.
Well,
Can
yeah.
they use it?
Every teacher without fail says how much they appreciate the support they're getting and thanking you
Yeah.
for that support and allocating resources to make it happen. So, good. Thank you. Good night.
Very good.